The order arrived too late, and that was the first sign something was wrong. The radio message came through at 4:17, but by the time our operator finished copying it down, we were already executing the order. That alone made no sense. In the Army, nothing happened before an order existed. Yet there we were, moving exactly as instructed before we had even been told to move. The message was brief and unsettlingly precise. Proceed immediately to grid F19. Do not engage enemy forces. Do not mark the area. Do not report visual anomalies unless directly questioned. There was no signature, no command header, no unit identification. Just coordinates and restrictions. We were an Allied armored reconnaissance crew operating in Western Germany in March 1945. The war was nearly over, but that didn't make it safer. German units were fragmenting, command structures collapsing, which made encounters unpredictable. Some surrendered instantly. Others fought with nothing left to lose. Our tank was an M4A3E8 Sherman, recently issued, still smelling of fresh paint and oil. The 76mm gun was calibrated the day before. The engine ran clean. Nothing about the vehicle suggested it would be involved in anything unusual. The coordinates led us off the main road and into a narrow stretch of forest that didn't appear on our standard maps. The terrain grew uneven, muddy, scarred by old shell craters half filled with water. The driver slowed without being told. The gunner stopped joking. Even the engine sounded different, lower somehow, like it was working against resistance we couldn't see. When we reached grid F19, there was nothing there. No bunker. No enemy position. No damaged vehicles. Just a clearing, roughly circular, surrounded by trees that looked older than the rest of the forest. The ground inside the clearing was smooth, unnaturally so, free of debris, free of tracks. It looked untouched, despite the war that had chewed up everything around it. Our commander ordered us to stop at the edge and observe. That was when the second anomaly appeared. The radio began transmitting on its own. Not static. Not interference. Actual structured bursts of sound. Short clicks and tones, repeating in a pattern. The operator tried to shut it down. The volume knob didn't respond. Neither did the power switch. The transmission wasn't incoming or outgoing. It was simply happening, as if the radio had decided its purpose on its own. Then the tank rocked slightly. Not from impact. Not from recoil. It felt like the ground itself had shifted under us. The driver swore the brake was engaged, but the tank rolled forward a few inches anyway, stopping exactly at the center of the clearing. None of us had ordered it to move. At that exact moment, the radio message repeated. Same wording. Same coordinates. Same timestamp. Except this time, the timestamp matched the present. Our commander ordered a full systems check. The engine was fine. Ammunition secure. Optics functional. But the compass spun uselessly, refusing to settle on a direction. Outside, the forest was silent. No birds. No wind. Even distant artillery noise, which had been constant for weeks, was gone. We noticed movement at the tree-line shortly after. A vehicle emerged slowly, deliberately, as if it had always been there, and was only now choosing to be seen. It wasn't German. It wasn't Allied. At least, it didn't match any silhouette we recognized. It had tracks, but no visible suspension movement. The hull was low, angular, with armor plates overlapping at odd angles. There was no turret. No gun barrel. No markings of any kind. It stopped just inside the trees and waited. Our gunner asked for permission to engage. The commander hesitated. The order had been clear. Do not engage enemy forces. The problem was, no one could say for certain that this was an enemy force. The vehicle made no hostile movement. It didn't advance. It didn't retreat. It simply existed within the space, perfectly still. Then our engine shut off. Every gauge dropped to zero simultaneously. Lights out. Radio silent. The tank was dead. We tried to restart. Nothing happened. Outside, the unknown vehicle began to move again, gliding forward without noise, without visible effort. As it approached the clearing, the air inside the tank grew heavy, hard to breathe, like pressure building before a storm. The commander ordered us to abandon the tank. We couldn't open the hatches. They weren't locked. They just wouldn't move. It felt like pushing against solid metal that hadn't been there before. The gunner began to panic. The driver shouted that the ground outside looked wrong, like the clearing didn't have depth anymore, like distance itself had collapsed. The unknown vehicle stopped 10 meters from us. A panel on its front shifted, opening briefly to reveal nothing but darkness inside. Not shadow. Not empty space. Something deeper. The radio crackled once, emitting a single tone that made my teeth ache. Then everything stopped. No movement. No sound. No sensation of time passing. I couldn't tell if I was breathing. I couldn't blink. The world simply paused around us. When it started again, the vehicle was gone. The engine restarted on its own. Systems came back online one by one. The forest sounds returned, distant artillery included, as if nothing had ever happened. We sat there in silence for several minutes before the commander finally spoke, ordering an immediate withdrawal. Command refused to acknowledge our report. They told us Grid F-19 had no recorded activity. No experimental units. No friendly operations. They instructed us never to return to the area and never to mention it again. The coordinates were removed from updated maps within a week. We followed orders. But weeks later, we learned something that made sleep difficult. Another unit received the same message. Same coordinates. Same restrictions. They never came back.